Welcome back to Everyday Hockey, presented by DraftKings, the leader in daily fantasy sports. Don't forget to use promo code THPN upon sign up for a bonus. And if you're a regular user, plug that promo code in for a weekly deal. Today, we talked about the Minnesota Wild buying out Ryan Suter and Zach Parise. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Well, the Wild have been in the news lately, Dylan, and it's going to be a crazy offseason for Billy Guerin and the gang.
Wow, what a day. Suter and Parise getting bought out, like you said. Isha, I want to know from you. You're a Minnesota Wild guy. What do you think is a bigger day? Them getting signed or them getting bought out?
Ooh, that's a good one. I guess time will tell, but from my experience, connecting with the Minnesota Wild fan base there, the day they signed was a celebration. 4th of July, everyone was so excited. The Minnesota boys were coming home, and to be honest, they may have not had success in the postseason as much as they were expected to, and just this team overall, given their build and development at the time, but with that pairing being part of the Minnesota Wild, they did make the postseason 8 out of 9 times.
Yeah, they did, and they were the best players on the Minnesota
Hands
Wild
down.
for a number of years. In my opinion, I think Ryan Suter is actually still a very good NHL defenseman right now. My initial thoughts, I'm a little bit surprised about Ryan Suter getting bought out. Not surprised by Zach Parise. I think we've seen him fall off the last season or so.
Yeah, and we can talk about that a little bit for sure. With Zach Parise and the way that the contract, with the buyout structure of the contract, which you'll run down in a second here, the way that is all structured, sure, Parise, you can bite the bullet on it because he was a healthy scratch last season. You said it there. His decline is very, very evident. He's not the player he used to be. And even the last few years where he put up points and helped the Minnesota Wild, hell, I think he even led the team in scoring, if not last year or the year before. It took 20 games for Zach Parise to get his skates under him, to get his National Hockey League level speed back, and I'd say last year it just took so long. And
the game's changing too; it's getting so much faster.
And the Minnesota Wild couldn't wait, and they were a good team last year. They took advantage of the division that they were in, and Zach Parise, he wasn't a huge part of that. So again, they can bite the bullet on that. But going back to what you said in regards to Ryan Suter, he's a very he's more than a serviceable defenseman. He's a second pairing guy, and I think he was going to age like fine wine.
Well, just last season he put up 48 points. The season before that, 47, and the year before that, 51 points. Last year, he put up 19 points in a shortened season. But like I said, yeah, there might be a bit of a decline, but you're looking at a decline from a number 2 defenseman to maybe a number 4 or 5. I still think there's a spot in the NHL for Ryan Suter.
Oh, he's going to re-sign for sure. And you mentioned that 51 points, that's his career high. He got 48 points in 69 games. He was on he was on pace for an unbelievable season offensively with a Wild team that doesn't have a lot of offensive tools, particularly that season. So he's a defensive guy first, so that's insane. He's for sure going to land another deal around $3-4 million somewhere else. Zach Parise, if he continues to play, it's going to be a league minimum.
Yeah, I want to get into the buyout structure a little bit here. And I want to start with Ryan Suter because, like I said, I'm a bit surprised. Ryan Suter and Zach Parise, they obviously have matching contracts, so their buyout structure is going to be the same. 4 years left at $7.5 million was the original contract. Now, looking at the buyout structure, so for the 2021 season, going to be paid out $2.37 million each. So that's for
Savings.
Zach Parise and Suter. And then in 2022, $6.37 each. They're going to be paid
a little bit more savings
for a total of $12.74. 2 years after that, $14.6 combined. That's a tough look for 2 years. And then after that, combined cap hit of 1.6 until the 2028-2029 NHL regular season. Now I'm looking at that and I'm thinking again, Ryan Suter, does it make sense to do this buyout, looking how long this buyout is going to affect the Minnesota Wild?
Especially because at that point you're paying for nothing, where you could have paid $7.5 million for a Ryan Suter, and you're still going to get a great hockey player. You're going to still get production. Maybe it's not quite offensively as it is right now or was in the past, but you're still going to get that solid, stay home, defensively sound guy there who's a veteran in the locker room. Now, Billy Guerin has been quoted quoted saying that the culture is changing and this is part of the transformation of the roster. Zach Parise can understand, again, because he was a healthy scratch this year. He's not in the plans moving forward. His decline is evident. So you can bite that bullet and you are saving a little bit of money. Even in those 4 years down the road where it's at its peak in the buyout structure, it's still $100,000 to $200,000 savings of what his contract would have been. But them together makes zero sense. I mean, you can't bank on having that many entry-level contracts on your roster. I mean, that's a lot of pressure for new head of scouting Judd Brackett.
Well, and in the short term, I mean, look at some players that they have to re-sign. Kaprizov and Fiala. Those guys are demanding a lot of cash. They need some cap to be able to pay those guys, and who knows if they can keep both of them.
Dylan, it's rumored that Kirill Kaprizov's camp has turned down a long-term contract where the cap would be, $8 to $9 million because he wants a short-term deal. Fiala, he wants to be locked up. He's just come off of a bridge deal. He wants, $7 to $8 million as well. Matthew Dumba, I mean, they just have to get that contract off the book anyway, so there may be a trade option there, or he may be selected to Seattle. So there's so many moving parts already for the Wild prior to us waking up to this news today.
Hey, who knows? This could be the kickoff of a rebuild. I know Minnesota fans might come at me for that one, but who knows?
Look, well, let's jump on it. There's a spider web of options / reasons for this, and I mean, this is not going to be the last of this news. I mean, the Minnesota Wild now have an even more complicated and busier offseason than I would have expected anyways. But here's some scenarios. You said it, full-on rebuild. They could honestly go that route. They have pieces they can still move. Maybe it's a retool and they're pushing for a 2-year window. They lock up guys short-term, they bring in some prospects, and they use that cap space that they now have because of the buyout, and they just go for it in 2 years. What other options are out there?
Well, and one of the main reasons I say that is how many competitive teams out there, have over $12 million. And in, 2022, 2023, it's going to be $14.6 million tied up in buyouts. I mean, that's going to hamper what you can do in free agency, what you can do in the trade market, how you can improve the team. So I think those years, that window is actually perfect for a rebuild.
Perfect for a rebuild? Is it perfect right now for a trade? Because I assume that there is a big trade looming. Minnesota Wild, they need a center, and they still have pieces now that they can dangle.
A big buyout like this isn't going to happen without more trades coming down the road. There's something big happen with Billy G.
All right, before we end off this video, just wanted to, pretty much give a little bit of an ode to these two players who've had an unbelievable run with the Minnesota Wild. Maybe it's towards the end of Zach Parise's career. Maybe he only has 1 or 2 more years left in the league. But, we got to tip our caps to him. He had a great run with the New Jersey Devils, and he's been outstanding for the Minnesota Wild. Zach Parise, franchise leader, power play goals, second in game-winning goals. He had 400 points and 199 goals for the Wild, and he was third in scoring and goals for the franchise all-time. I just also want to note he's a leader in all offensive stats in the playoffs.
And a favorite of Pierre Maguire.
Ryan Suter, one of my personal favorites, franchise leader in all scoring stats among defensemen for the Minnesota Wild. He had 369 points, 55 goals, and we already mentioned, he's been on a late tear in his career now, where if the season wasn't canceled due to COVID-19 last year, he would have had an unbelievable offensive output.
And listen, they didn't win the Stanley Cup, they didn't bring it back to Minnesota, but they kept the team competitive for the duration of their contract, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for the video today. Tell us where you think Ryan Suter and Zach Parise are going to land in the National Hockey League in the comments below. Smash that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.